Again, I'm Sanam Jorjani. I am going to close us out for this final hour of the day. I hope you all are feeling good. I know you might be a little tired. If you're like me, your feet are a little bit tired, but your spirit is happy. We've done a lot today, so I just want to take a second to a lot has happened. You've probably been talking a lot, connecting a lot, I hope, listening, learning, all of those things. We've talked about instruction, we've talked about foundations, we've talked about young learners, we've talked about older learners, we've talked about literacy, leadership, we've learned about partnership, we've talked about advocacy, and we've talked about putting that learning into action. And we're not totally done yet. I want to appreciate, I've seen and heard so much in just getting moments to talk with folks. And I've heard great examples of someone being someone walked by and I taught with them 20 years ago at a school and I'm seeing them now. I don't even live here anymore. And so seeing, really to me, besides how cool it is to see people you haven't seen in a long time, was just the testament to people staying in this work and in this field for so long, even when it's long and hard and tiring. So thank you to all of you who have been doing it, or even if you're just starting and you're fired up and continuing. We really appreciate you and we see you. And thank you for sharing those stories with me and with us, because that's why we do this. I want to appreciate everyone coming, really embodying the idea that we are all learners, but also just hoping folks feel and recognize that we're also in this room the movers and the shakers. I see everyone in this room as the doers for literacy and the folks who are championing our kids every day. I hope you feel that way. A few people have reminded this to me, and it came up in the fireside chat last night, that we often don't get a chance to take stock of what's actually happening and what we are doing and what we are accomplishing. And so we need to take that moment to recognize, to celebrate, and to note what we have been doing, what is working, what is really promising, the progress we are making. And I don't think we get to take the next step forward until we've taken the moment to do that. The next step forward is the step we'll talk about next with our theme for our closing plenary, what's next for the movement for literacy and justice for all. But before I bring three brilliant speakers to the stage, I have the distinct pleasure of presenting our very first award as part of our Literacy and Justice for All Symposium. For the first time, the OLC is presenting an award to lift up the voices of change in our community. We are closing with a really special opportunity to introduce the very first Literacy and Justice Catalyst Award. This award holds a profound significance for us on our team, for those of you who've been involved in kind of making this happen, because it really symbolizes the significance and dedication and impact of outstanding leadership in the field of literacy, of finding a way to, from here on out, recognize in our own way those who embody the principles of justice and through their work have truly become the catalyst for transformative change. We designed this award to honor and recognize people in our community that are the embodiment of literacy and justice for all. The person we will recognize today and want to continue recognizing every year through this award, their impact is not confined to pages of a book, walls of a single institution, but it ripples out. It affects positive change across communities, across schools and beyond, but even just amongst our one-on-one opportunities to connect and be human together. Our inaugural recipient is someone who has inspired and fueled a movement, who embodies the essence of literacy and justice. We've named this award after them, which we'll reveal in just a minute. But in order to introduce the meaning of the award, the significance of the recipient, I am going to actually ask us to hear from some friends and colleagues about the person we have dedicated this award to. And so please join us on the video screens.
That you are not just a friend, but a leader of a movement that's going to reform and transform educational opportunities for all our kids, starting with reading and literacy.
You're a champion in every way, as a parent, as a scholar and as a leader in the fight for literacy for all children. I'm happy to be a part of this and to say congratulations. I'm so happy, so proud that I know you, and there's no one who's more deserving.
You have the same love, the same determination that every kid is going to get what they need from the system in terms of their reading and fulfilling their life potential.
Back in 2017, we were all individual leaders in our respective organizations, and we were struggling, but we had a community, a coalition of the willing. We were trying to shift our systems from using balanced literacy to a structured approach. And he learned what we were doing individually and together and said, y'all keep doing what you're doing. I will be your linebacker.
When some of us have moved organizations or jobs, he believes we're dedicated to literacy as a fundamental human right, and he keeps us involved. He's the glue that often brings us together. He believes in us as fellow literacy advocates in Oakland and always has our back.
He'll remind us why we're in this work. He calls it like it is. So he'll tell us when we need to grow a thicker skin. He'll also praise us when we've nailed a concept and really been able to drive a point home.
He's such a compelling speaker and leader, and a big part of that is that he's not invested in these reading wars. It's not about sides or who's right and who's wrong. It's just clear that his personal and professional trajectory informed his dedication to making sure just that the kids know how to read.
You have been such an advocate for reading all your life, and I'm just so proud of you. Congratulations.
I have learned so much from you. You've been an incredible thought partner to me and my organization. Having come out to Buffalo 3 times, you've met with every single stakeholder group, from parents to teachers to board members to administrators.
And that simple message, the kids can learn if we teach them, is so important, and you convey that and how to do it and why to do it better than anybody out there. You're one of my literacy heroes, and you have influenced people far and wide in this country, way beyond Oakland. And I'm so grateful for the gift you give to the field every day with your leadership.
His passion and commitment inspire us to do the work we do every day. Thank you, Kareem.
Thank you, Kareem.
Hi, partner. I just wanted to say that it is the honor of a lifetime to support you in meeting the call to accelerate the movement and move the needle for thousands, probably millions of children all over our nation and right here in our backyard of Oakland through your voice and your advocacy. Congratulations from me, your deepest fan, and all of us at Fulcrum.
Kareem, on behalf of the entire Right to Read film team, we want to thank you for being an incredible early literacy warrior. Thank you for fighting for evidence-based reading instruction, not only in your own community, but across the country, because we know that you are really trying to actively turn the reading rates around and disrupt all of the pipelines, the pipeline to high school dropout, the pipeline to prison, the pipeline to homelessness. So thank you for being inspirational to all of us and for fighting for what matters most in our democracy. Congratulations, we love you.
Thank you, Mr. Kareem, for helping grown-ups help kids to learn how to read. Thank you, bye.
Congratulations, you rock.
To recognize your exceptional leadership, Kareem, in movement building, your craft as an educator to so many, we've named this award the Kareem Weaver Literacy and Justice Catalyst Award. We are lucky to have you and have your leadership so close to us here in Oakland. Of course, you impact the nation, but we are lucky to call this your home. You are our first keynote for this conference, twice actually. So again, an early believer and leader the person who is really championing us from behind, but I admire your leadership because you lead from both the front and the stage, but know when to push from behind. Whatever folks need, you show up in that way. And I am so thankful for your willingness to show up and do things that are probably making you very tired. We never want to miss an opportunity to give people their flowers, especially when they are around for us to give them to. So with that, I want to thank you, congratulate you, and ask you to please come accept this award on behalf of the Oakland Literacy Coalition. I'm glad you didn't make other plans.
You held that a big secret. You're lucky I didn't dip out. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna go back sit down. Okay.
Actually, you're gonna come sit here anyway.
Okay.
So if you want to just.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a hard thing to follow, even for myself to come after that. For our closing, I'm going to invite 3 exceptional guests who've already presented here today, so hopefully you've caught them in some shape or form. And I'm going to ask simply each of our closing panelists to answer one simple question. What's next for the movement for literacy and justice for all? From our perspective, we need the multiple vantage points to get where we're going, and no one can go it alone. I'll ask Yolie Flores, Dr. Bree Moore, and Kareem Weaver, of course, to join us now. This is a pretty great team right here, so I'm going to come join.
We could do something.
We could do something.
I might break out in the song.
I'll let you all settle in. So I'm going to take a moment to introduce all 3 because not everyone has been at every session and maybe had the opportunity to witness your magic. I'll introduce each 3 of you, and then after that, I will one by one pass the mic and hear what you all have to say to close us out. I will start with Yolie Flores. Yolie has been a fierce advocate for children and families. I met her 10 or so some odd years ago. Yolie was leading even then so much work. I met her through the campaign for grade level reading and was the voice really centering families, saying if we are going to get to 3rd grade reading achievement, we have to put families at the center, and helping all of the communities who were participating figure out how to do that, helping come up and think about what those actionable strategies were. You've been a huge resource to folks doing this work around the country. Yolie is currently the president and CEO of Families in Schools in Los Angeles, a nonprofit statewide organization. Their mission is to elevate and support families as essential partners in the education of their children. Recently, Yolie served as National Campaign Director for Building a Parent Nation, a campaign initiative of the TMW Center for Early Learning and Public Health at the University of Chicago. Before that, where I met her, Yolie was at the Campaign for Grade Level Reading, supporting communities in their quest to ensure early school success for children from low-income communities. As a leader in Los Angeles, she served as VP of the Los Angeles Board of Education and for almost a decade, served as CEO of the LA County Children's Planning Council. Yolie's leadership and commitment to the well-being of historically marginalized children and families has earned her the distinction of twice being named Social Worker of the Year. Thank you for being here with us, Yolie. I won't give a super long intro to Kareem, because what could intro Kareem better than the testimony of those who know him and work with him? But if you didn't know, Kareem Weaver is the co-founder and ED of Fulcrum, which partners with stakeholders to improve reading results for students. He is the Oakland NAACP's 2nd VP and chair of the Education Committee. His advocacy is featured in the film The Right to Read, which is screening tomorrow. He previously served as leader, ED, of the New Leaders of the Western region, and was an award-winning teacher and administrator. He believes in the power and potential of all students, the brotherhood of man, and the importance of service above self. Thank you, Kareem. Dr. Bree Moore, I hope many of you in this audience got to hear Dr. Bree last night. She is an Oakland native. She has been a student, a teacher, a principal, and is now network superintendent of OUSD. In addition to that very robust job that she holds, is the founding executive director of the 3Ls Academy that she started in 2019. Dr. Moore is a Jefferson Award winner from 2023 and recently shared her story on the Jennifer Hudson Show. Dr. Bree believes teaching and leading changes lives and literacy liberates. She strives for excellence in education. So one more large round of applause for everyone here on this stage. I'm going to start with you, Yolie. In your work, your robust career achievements in supporting children and families in all of your various roles, and after a day of conversation today and the folks you've connected with, what do you see as being next for the movement for literacy and justice for all?
Well, I think I would start, thank you, by the way, Sanam, it's an honor to be here and to have been your friend for so long and to meet these amazing individuals. I think I would start with what Dre said last night, which is to stay focused on the thing. And, you know, having been an advocate on children's issues for so long in Los Angeles, my experience, and on the school board, my experience is that we work really, really, really hard to get a resolution passed and progress here and progress there, and then we move on to the next thing as advocates. And we don't stay focused. And if there's anything I learned about being a school board member is that there is always another thing. There is always another thing, another burning bush, another fire to put out, another sexy new thing, another superintendent with a whole new set of ideas. And we lose focus. On this issue, we cannot lose focus. We have got to stay with the thing, because it is the thing that will liberate our children. And there is nothing more important than to be free, as Frederick Douglass says. You will be when you learn to read. So stay focused. Don't lose the thing. Just do more, but stay on the thing. So I think that would be my first thing. Second, it won't surprise you given what you just learned about me, is to center families in this conversation. As we have been talking to families about literacy, they actually think most families in America, according to Learning Heroes annual family survey, 92% of parents think their kids are on track in reading and math. They are very confused because we have created confusion for them. We need to tell the truth, not to make them feel bad, but because if there is anyone with the most moral authority to demand better for their children, it's their parents. So for all of us who've been running around, we're only talking to each other about structured literacy, about science of reading. No one is talking to parents. They don't know. They don't know what to demand. They don't know what to look for, especially if you don't understand the system, if you're afraid because you're an immigrant family, if you don't know the language. So we've got to be not only advocates for children, we have to be advocates and partners with families. Third, I think we need to be myth busters. So my friend Lori today shared with me that myths are like mushrooms. They can only grow in the dark, and it is up to us to shine the light on them. So the first myth that we must bust is that parents should not talk to their children in their native language. they are still being told that they will never learn English if they continue to speak to them in their native language. And for those of you that attended the various sessions today on English learners, emergent bilinguals, multilingualism, or you just know because you know, your native language is the foundation that will set you free to learn even more languages. So we've got to bust that myth. It's all important language development, especially in those early years. And related to this topic, we need to bust the myth that structured explicit instruction is not good for English learners. That is not true. We've got to set that record straight. And then the other myth is that science of reading is a phonics-only approach. That's got to be busted with the media big time. Because they're being lazy, they're not doing their homework, and we know that this is much more than that. It is foundational, it is important, but it is not only. We've got to keep spelling out for the public to understand what we mean by this, especially if we're going to pass important legislation in California. I think the last message I would have for you is to step into your authority. We all play some kind of role where we have authority over something, whether you're a storyteller, whether you're a policy wonk, a researcher, an advocate, a community organizer. Step into your authority to demand better for our children, particularly to demand better that our system produces great readers, because they all can be great readers. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Yolie. Thank you, Yolie. You'd think I'd figured out the mic by this last hour of the day. Bree, you work leading schools and leading systems. Tell me how you would answer this question from the work you do every day.
I'm all out of words. I'm sorry. You all have got the best of me. I'm done. It's a great question, right? Can you all hear me? Great. I am really out of words. But what I will say is, I do, like this conference is called Literacy and Justice for All. When I want to say literacy is justice for all. And oftentimes we are thinking about literacy as justice for all specific to our students, but it is very much justice for tutors, for teachers, for principals, for net soups and superintendents, all central folks. It is very much justice for all in that when we get this right, we win. In order to get this right, we need coherent systems and structures around literacy work, which really is a grand notion, right? That we would all actually be moving in one accord. It's a very foreign concept that we would all be with the clarity of the outcomes, the student outcomes. We all want that thing, but we all seem to be doing hard work, but like missing each other. When I think coherent systems and structures, it is so weird to be sitting and talking. I think we are all following the vision, right? Strong readers by third grade. Say strong readers by third grade. Now see, that's why we're missing it. Say strong readers by third grade. If we all know that that is the mark, if that is where we are trying to get to, and we think about the fact that our tutors, they come from multiple organizations, are training them up and getting them ready and all of that. Are those organizations in conversation? Right? Coherence. When we think about in Oakland Unified School District, Oakland Unified School District, 50 elementary schools. Are the principles being developed in the same, right? Coherence. Are they learning the same things about the science of reading? Are they learning the same things about the implementation of the multiple curricula, of multiple organizational practices? Are they learning the same thing? Coherence. When we think about our systems leaders, who are very much we like to refer to them as the district. When I like to say we are all the district, coherence. When we think about them, what work have they done to ensure that they understand the science of reading? Like dictating a thing, directing a thing, leading a thing, you got to know what the thing is. We keep calling it the thing, but the thing is reading. The thing is literacy, not just reading the word, but reading the world. And in order to do that, you got to be able to write, right? You have to be able to speak in ways that when you say it, for other folks to understand it. I don't want to dictate what that looks like, but what are we saying? Coherence. But we are missing. Tutors pulling kids out of class, teachers mad. Teacher, you want to get coherent with the tutor? Sit down with them. Let's make a plan together about when and how. Actually, I'm going to be doing this right now, so push in. But like you sitting in a room with other teachers complaining about what the tutor done did to y'all, ain't nobody did nothing to you. What we're not doing is getting together to make decisions, instructional coherent decisions, coherent instructional practices, right? Like, get it together. We all working towards the same vision, right? Literacy and justice for all. If the folks who very much feel disempowered, right? I feel like that too. I'm a network soup. I manage 16 schools. And sometimes I'm like, man, I don't get to do the real work. I don't get to, right? I very much get, them principals ain't doing nothing. We need you to, I want to coach principals and be with them in classrooms and talk about what are we seeing in kindergarten? What are we seeing in first grade? How do we use that data and triangulate it with the observations, what we see on the street data, what we see in the data that's our academic data, what we see in the implementation, like helping principals to see the whole entire system of their school. And the same thing with our central leaders. I very much believe we can do it. I think we got all the pieces and the people and the practices. I think we got it all. What we don't have is coherence. What we don't currently know how to do is get in a room and tell the truth, right? Like, we too nice to each other. We don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but you behind their back with it. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're doing something I believe is harmful to kids, I'm going to tell you to your face and talk about you behind your back too with my sister, but you're going to know. If you feel like your peers aren't doing a thing, say it. Don't go home and complain to your spouse or your partner and yeah, they in the PD talking about they doing things. I done got their kids, they ain't doing nothing. Why are you telling it to them? Go to the school, coherence. We're going to all do this thing. We're going to make an agreement about making sure that students are learning to read. That means we all have to learn it together. Teachers, you want to be unionized and in a bond with each other? Bond around literacy practices, right? I mean, yes, get your money, all the things. I'm not against you getting all the money and getting all the things, but what I do think is true, just as much as you pushing for that, push for you all to grow your capacity together. And then let's all, if I got all y'all to come together, I didn't get y'all, but y'all here though. To do this work of learning together, imagine if we did planning together. I'm going to stop talking in about 4 more seconds. I fully want you to hear me say, we can do this. It feels hard. It feels disconnected and disjointed. It feels like you the only one doing the right thing. It feels like I can't take it no more. I'm so tired. I'm going to quit this job. I hate y'all. I ain't never coming back. I need some food and I'm hungry. Right? It feels all that. And we can do this if we get coherent. And if you are very much dedicated to learning your craft, worry about yourself. And when you have it, you know how you get those peers and the folks who don't want to do it? You get them with data. You get them with, I'm teaching the hell out of this stuff. And then they say, what you doing? Oh, you want to know? Come do a peer observation. Or I went to this training. Or I read this book. Or Dr. Bree said, no, don't call me. I'm sorry, I'm lying. I was just on the roll. I was on the roll. Do not get my number out. But ultimately, what I believe we need to do for literacy and justice for all, okay, one more thing. This I promise. Okay. We often consider this idea of power as somebody else's. You spoke to, right? It's somebody else's. Like they have power. They make the decisions. They do a thing. What I know is true. Any role I've ever been in, I've had power. When I couldn't read, I had power. You all have power. You have position. You have every opportunity to make the choices that lead to improved outcomes for our students, that help them to read. How you use that power, like a superhero, JJ, you hear me? My niece is out there. Like a superhero, you can use it for good, or you can be a bad guy, right? And use it for bad. Power in our system, to change our system, to interrupt systems of oppression and practices that constantly lead to disproportionate outcomes and the marginalization of our kids in the ways in which we continue to say we do not want to happen, requires that you enact your power. You have the power to learn how to do this well. You have the power to partner with tutors, even the ones not pulling your students, to ensure that they feel seen, heard, valued. They are not the help. They very much are there doing the things that some teachers don't yet have the skills to do. So why not partner with them to say, can you teach me too? Be vulnerable. Enact your power. Literacy and justice for all only comes at the hands of folks who very much are ready to do the work of interrupting, getting coherent, asking questions, leaning in, and developing yourself and others around you in ways that constantly feel like we can't do it. And then when you see it done, you celebrate it.
Kareem, you've done a lot of things. You've led school systems, you've been on the national stage, but I think more importantly, you are talking to so many people all the time. And so I think you bring that very particular perspective as well of knowing what are folks saying and doing and thinking. And after being so connected and hearing so many folks, where are you at?
Okay. Can you all hear me? Okay. I'll say a few things on it about where I'm at and what I think is the next phase of the movement is what I think one of the things the question was on. So when I first started in Oakland, I was between two master teachers. Is Yvonne here? Yvonne, are you still here? Hey, sis. So Yvonne and I were rookies back in the 90s. I won't get the exact date, but a minute ago. We were rookie teachers, and we had some vets, Dorothy Shanks, Mary Hill. We had some teachers who were about it. Man, she can tell you, you know, they did not suffer fools lightly, so it is to say. When the curriculum was changed, they'd get up and walk out. I'm not sending my kids to hell over this foolishness. I'll never forget when she said that. They were trying to bring in whole language. She was like, hell no. And I remember, and she breathed life into us. She said, you're going to lead a school. Kareem, you're going to be a principal one day. She just, like, I hadn't known her but for 2 weeks. You remember that? You're going to be a principal one day. You're going to serve kids. We have to strip away, and this is one part of the next iteration of this movement. Don't get me wrong, I love the titles, and I'm Dr. So-and-so, I have a master's in this and that, I'm superintendent, I'm a chief academic this and that. Oh, that's fine, I'm not hating. But I'll give you an example. Bree is now Dr. Bree. Dr. Bree Moore. I knew her when she's Sabrina. She was Bree. And I'm going to tell you, she was just as committed, just as qualified then as she is now. It's not the degree that makes you, it's the quality of your service. That's the first evolution. So that all these positions and titles, and I'm the this and that, and I'm the head, whatever the title is, the grade level, okay, no, that's fine, man. I'm not hating on it, so to speak, but what I'm saying is it's our relationship to the work. And it's our relationship to children and to each other. It's what we do and how we do it. You just can't blow the thing up just because you wanted a little release. It's going to take some professionalism. It's going to take diligence. Your service qualifies you. Whether you're a custodian, a chief academic officer, a board member, how do you serve? What's your attention to detail like? It's the same thing we ask the kids to do when they're sounding out words. Your attention to detail. Okay, you want this new policy? How tightly have you looked at the letter? And so that's one thing that has to happen. I'm not down on anybody. I give you respect for your degrees and all that, but listen, how do you serve? Is it with humility? Is it with diligence? Is it with character? Are you able to say, I don't know, and then go find out? And do it in a way where you can bring people along with you. That's what we need right now. There was a time when I trained to be a principal, the whole thing was a turnaround leader. You go into schools, turn around. That was the whole thing. And so there's a whole wave of us who went through that era. That's cool. It was for a season and a reason. It's not that time right now. It's not that time. Right now, if you're not a pure instructional leader, it's not your season. We need people to lead the work right now. And that doesn't mean that you know everything. It means that you're willing to be honest about your journey and to give good feedback and to be the top learner and to have hard conversations with people and to love people through their challenges and to be honest and step in and teach sometimes. I mean, I had teachers, I'd be like, look, you're not teaching today, man. I got you. Well, Mr. Weaver, my lesson plan, no, your lesson plan wasn't no good anyway. I got you. Real talk. Real talk. I got you today. I need you to go do this, that, and the other. Just go breathe today. Come in and see, reading and everything. But it's like you have to be able to lead by example and to bring people together around a North Star. Okay, so that's the first thing. Another thing that this new season, universities. So colleges are often left out of this whole conversation. Just the same way that a lot of us, we have our own brand, so to speak. Colleges have a brand. I'm from Harvard or Cal or Stanford or whatever school. So what? So I'm from Richmond. Like I'm from the hood, and look, I appreciate that, and congratulations on your endurance, perseverance, accomplishing that goal. Great, fantastic, man. You know the percentages of our kids who aren't reading. So clearly, whatever it is that has been going on in higher academia has not trickled down to the folks. So I can't get too carried away putting you on a pedestal when our kids are withering on the vine. So how are you serving? Those that NCTQ, National Council of Teacher Quality, and the ratings they have that the colleges do not want you to look at, you should be looking at that. Where do you get your teachers from? And if there's something that doesn't line up with what they're teaching and what your system is promoting, you have to have that hard conversation. But moving away from the brand into how they're preparing people, teachers and principals, to be clear, not just teachers, principals too. Another thing is, because the question is about the evolution of the movement and where we're at now. Stop me, I'm rolling. Another thing is, so there is deep division. I mean, I'm not telling y'all nothing you don't know. There's deep division around who gets to own this. Whose narrative is this? The power question. And we have to be understanding of it. Nobody wants to have their kids micromanaged and manipulated and all that. I get all that. We want our cultures respected. And sometimes we as adults make power the main thing. That's not the kids' issue. That's our issue. For real. who's going to have say-so and who doesn't? Who has control and who doesn't? Who's the sponsor of the bill and who isn't? Who supports that legislation and who doesn't? What's the gender? What's the ethnic group? What's the linguistic background? What class are you in? Listen, and this is between groups and within groups. I could have 20 black people right here, raised in the Bay Area, and we all gonna be different. Newsflash. We're not all cut the same. Some grew up in church, some never been in the church. Some have money, Jack and Jill, some, lower bottoms. We all different, and that's okay. But if the kids are at the center, that means what they need is the main thing. That's the North Star. That's going to be an evolution, because if you're not on that train, those folks who elevate those things, they have to be called. You have to call that out. I understand you, but this is about power, it's about kids. I can't tell a difference right now. That's a new thing. I think that's going to be, it's already starting to happen. It's already starting to happen. And along with that, that means that across different demographics, people will begin to work together. People begin to work together, which seems like a simple thing. It's not simple, because we don't halfway get along most of the time. Across different groups and advocacy priorities, however you want to name it. We just don't play well in the sandbox together at times. That's our kids are going to die like that. At some point, the adults have to be the adults and put ourselves on the back burner and realize that we're here to meet the kids' needs. They're not here to meet our needs. That's the psychological underpinning of child abuse anyway. So so that's a change, because right now that's not the case. Right now it's our thing. All right, one last thing, if I may. Oh, 15 minutes? 12 minutes? A couple more things. Okay, all right, it's all good. I've just started writing about this recently. I haven't published it yet, but I've been writing about it. As a sector, we are addicted to complexity. I think the education sector is an insecure sector. Are we as maybe it's because of salary, maybe it's because I hear people from kindergarten through high school, oh, I'm just a kindergarten teacher. It's almost as if we're proud of the profession, but there's a little bit of insecurity about that. What do you do? Well, I teach 5th grade. Man, I teach 5th grade. There's something there where, because of, yes, we have a brother who's a biologist or a chemist or a lawyer or a doctor, whatever it is, and those are elevated professions, societally speaking, salary, respect, whatever else. And so here we are as educators. And we haven't had the easiest time of it. And now we're going through this big change about how to teach reading, and people might sneer at us and jeer at us. You're just not figuring out. There's a lot of stuff going on. But to justify ourselves, what we have to avoid is making things harder than they have to be, to prove ourselves worthy. I've seen some of these strategic plans. I'm like, are you trying to go to the moon? What is this? I mean, come on. It's a 10-point plan, and it's 10 more points after that, the sub-bullets, and come on, man, what are we doing? You don't have to prove, just get the kids to read. That's not a hard plan. We're going to teach it right. We're going to have good materials. We're going to have good leadership. We're going to have good professional development. We're going to be committed. We're going to get it done. And when we're not sure, we're going to have professional dialogue. We're going to disagree in love. No. We're going to disagree in duty, and we're going to grow to love. You see what I'm saying? But that takes grounding. That takes maturity. That means we keep the main thing the main thing. Yeah, we might want to argue about all these other world events that are happening and different things in society. Yeah, but you know what? Can the kids read? Like what? So for us as a sector, our growth and is in this area almost more than any other, because insecurity masks itself in strange ways. And it comes out in the way we talk. I see some of these diagrams and graphic organizers on. I'm like, what are you trying to prove? And who are you trying to prove it to? It's the kids. So I think that's something else. I'm going to fight tooth and nail to help us break our addiction to complexity. If it's needed, fine. But some of that stuff, that's just us. And we got to shake that loose. So yeah, that's what I would say. Those are the things that I think are the next steps.
We do have a few minutes if anyone else wants to.
Y'all want something else?
I didn't prepare you for that, but there is time for you to jump back in.
Well, it's still on the related question, and I love that this came up either last night with you all or in a session, and that's that we need to really expand who's in the ring with us fighting for children and their literacy. And at one of the things I am noticing is that we are starting to recognize that it doesn't just rest in the school, in the classroom. And the good thing about that is that we can finally stop blaming schools and teachers. And that we really have to see this much more broadly because learning to read starts at birth. And so who are our partners in community? I think Sanam, the Oakland Literacy Foundation, has done such a beautiful job in expanding the circle of an entire community that needs to care about this. And I think we're making a mistake when we think it's just the school and not community groups, cities, pediatricians, First Fives, after-school programs. Like it is, we just released a report in LA around the literacy crisis in Los Angeles and beyond was the title. And our recommendations touched everybody because I want the public to know that we are all responsible, not only for the well-being of children in general, but specifically that they can read. So as much as we can and must, we have to expand that circle and name all of the ways in which you and you and you and you can step up for kids in that way.
Yeah, I want to, no, yeah. I want to say one thing. I was just thinking, Kareem mentioned the North Star. And I wonder if, can I get everybody to look at that light right there? See that light right there? If I told you all that was our North Star, could you make your way there? Well, we'd all come from different directions. I have to come down this way, and right? And you'd have to come this way, but we all trying to get there. I think it's an image for me of coherence. You know the North Star, it's literacy. At the end of the day, you got to make your way there. You make your way there. Stop worrying, right? Like I can't say enough that to me, for this work to come to like true fruition, like we got ideas, we've got plans, we've got all the things. But in order for this for us to really give birth to what literacy looks like in ways that lead to all the outcomes that we want to be true, we all have to make our way to the star, whatever that looks like for you.
I got a couple of quick more things. I don't know if you might want to write these things down. You may know some of them, you may not. Cox Academy, Reading League Compass, and Reading Universe. Y'all know about those? Cox Academy, Reading League Compass, Reading Universe. Some people wrote them down. That's cool. Those are 3 free resources: professional development, multimedia, just in the weeds, good stuff. You click on it, it comes down, and Reading League Compass has stuff for administrators, for universities, for community, like for all the different groups. Reading Universe and Cox Academy is practitioners. Click on it. Here's a video showing you how to do it. That's free. In this age of, we got to learn some stuff. It's free.com. Like you actually can get that, and is just gorge yourself. Just go for it. Right now, I'm sure school system's going to pay for professional development. They didn't waste all the COVID funds. That's a whole nother conversation. But here's something for free. You, especially for principals or administrators and coaches, you have to provide people access to things so that they can do it on demand. As opposed to, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a staff professional development, but come on now. People are tired, they're busy, and whatever else. Free is a good price. So that's one thing. The second thing is, what we're doing here is, I can't even emphasize this enough. I don't really know how to say this, other than there's no help coming. There's no help coming. The country will go on running itself to the ground. Our jails are filled to the brim, and we're gonna build some more. Like, man, I'm telling you, it's dog eat dog. May the best man and woman win. That's just how the country's set up. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying, so if you understand social justice, you want to be, listen, this thing is going to grind on. If we do nothing, it's going to keep going and it's going to get worse. To be a disruptor, it's going to take all of us. And that's figuratively all of us, not just as individuals, but as groups. Whatever group you represent, economic, spiritual, like whatever sector of society, business, it's going to take it. And so I just want you to know that you don't have to be like some, you know how they say waiting for superwoman and man. Oh man, look, just be you. You the one we waiting on. We ain't waiting for no superhero. It's regular people doing their job professionally and diligently and with care, love, and respect. That's what it is. If we have a sector that's committed to doing that, we're going to be all right. You don't have to wait for any one person or group or network or superintendent to come and revolutionize everything. There are free resources available now. There are people you can connect with in the lunchroom now. You can join that curriculum selection committee now. You can go partner with that teacher down the hall that you never talked to now. You can share that link now. Now. You don't have to wait for anybody else or anything else. It's free as your will is. And so that's all what I would say. I'm encouraged. I get tired sometimes, I do, but I'm encouraged. Plus we got people in the field like Bree, man, do your thing. Do your thing. You give me. I feel like, okay, I can rest a little while. You know what I'm saying? No, for real. Because I understand your heart and I understand where you're at. And so with that, I think we all have to also be committed to cultivating the next wave of educators. I know they get on your nerves sometimes. They ask dumb questions. I'm just being silly. But take them under your wing. Talk to them. Listen to them. Spend time with them. Go sit in their room. Just go sit down. And then at lunchtime, talk to them. Let them help them. Nature abhors a vacuum. If we're not constructive with new teachers, they're going to go in a different direction. It's important for them to have leadership, not just positionally, but also within the group. So I see that as a wave of responsibility, duty, leadership, and opportunity that we all have collectively to build the field and the profession that we push it towards the North Star that Bree was talking about.
Whew. I'll just add in, I think, a lot about belief. What do we believe is possible? What do we even just, we believe kids can read. We believe kids deserve to read. What you all are saying about we believe we can be the ones to make that happen in our lifetimes, hopefully a lot sooner than just our lifetimes. And what our mindset is, right? And the same things that we are wanting to bring in when we're working directly with young people. You talk a lot about like the adults in the room, and it's like, we sometimes forget, right? We forget, especially I'm not in a classroom, so I'm removed, right? So I have to find those ways to remind myself, what would I want to believe, want a young person to believe about themselves, their place in the world? Do I do that? What do I want a young person to believe about themselves and thinking, we're always learning, right? If you're not growing, you're dead. So do I carry that with me all the time too, to remember I'm not done? And so for me, this idea of like, what are we all really believing, and are we carrying that in our interactions, whether we're with young people or with one another, right? With our peers, with our colleagues, and pushing each other. And for me, a lot of the disruption is in disrupting any language of disbelief. But I really echo, I think DeRay said this last night, and he talks about it in his book, this idea, but like we have to do it. So it's not enough to believe or just have this like, just by, you know, progress is always linear. You know, I remember my mom, I was like pretty cynical as a child from a young age. So I was like, the climate will end. And she would be like, no, things get better. And I know where she was coming from. And she was a fighter her whole life too. My mom was like, you know, in Iran, like she did the thing. She put in her time and is a lifelong educator. But I appreciated the remembrance that like that, and we do like that inevitability of progress and change is inevitable if we are doing something about it, right? And so, yeah, my own, I guess, what I try to tell myself in that moment is like, where am I in my own belief process? Because I will, full disclosure, get very like, oh, I don't know, like I'm like hard on myself in that way. And so I think about that a lot. I think about the nuance too. Like for me, the other thing that really comes up, and what I love about like everyone I've talked to at least so far, is the ability to say like, there's still a nuance in the things we're talking about, right? There's still a room. And for me, nuance is an acceptance of maybe I don't know the whole thing. Maybe I'm not totally right. Maybe there's another perspective, not about getting off the thing, right? Like we're on the thing. And it's in ways where I'm like, where do we just reject that binary thinking, right? So it's where can there be a yes and? We think about this as an organization a lot. Like we believe kids can learn and love to read. I don't feel like those are at odds. I think it's a both and. It's not just by loving you'll learn. And it's not just by nature of decoding that you love reading, but I do think we can do both. I think we deserve to do both. We can spark learning and we can spark joy. And sometimes those things are just so pitted against each other that for me, it's really like, where are we saying, no, I think those aren't too crazy ideas. They're not so big, both of those, that they can't exist. We can focus on instruction and the ecosystem. And that belief is saying, it's not just parents and teachers believing, everybody's got to believe kids deserve to read, right? Everybody's got to believe they're a part of that. So those are my two.
Can I push you a little bit?
Yeah, in 2 minutes.
In 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Love.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a big challenge in education. In education, as I have experienced us, our beliefs seem to be on the mantle. I'm a this, I'm a social justice advocate, I'm progressive, I'm whatever the title is. It's the beliefs, and we think that the belief is the thing. It's the yard sign, it's the placard, it's the bumper sticker, it's the, who lives matter. Like, man, and that's cool. I'm not down, hey, do your thing. So the next iteration of this, it's got to be your practice. What are you doing? You can have anti-racist beliefs, but if your practices are contributing to the prison pipeline, whether you mean to or not, we gotta be honest about it. And so I would just say it's a call for excellence in our practice. It's a call for attention to detail and the study. And new leaders, we always say, change the practice, the beliefs will follow. If you spend too much time trying to wrestle with people's beliefs and ideologies, you're gonna end up in the mud. Change practice. And then when you see the impact on kids, the heart takes over. But we gotta change, we gotta do some things differently. What does the research say works best for kids? That's the loving thing. That's the sacrifice. I always say love is a lesson plan. What you gonna do on Monday? So I just, to tag on to what you're saying, I just want to put that out there. I'm not saying beliefs are bad. We need to have beliefs, and we need our practice to evolve so that our kids can experience greatness.